Welcome everybody to Lusaka Avocado Multipurpose Cooperative Society training. Today we have Professor Reda, who's going to talk to us about the effect of different irrigation systems on fruit tree growth. My name is Linda Kalinda. I am presenting today in my role as Technical Vice Chair for the Technical Committee. Your board executives are Engineer Chiwala, Chair, Mr. Piri, Finance Lead, and Mr. Choa, Secretary General. The YouTube recording will be available to everybody. It's shared on the WhatsApp group, and you can watch it for the next 48 hours should you miss a part of this, or if you want to go back to watch it again. For membership inquiries, please contact Mr. Piri or Mrs. Helen Chewa. We have these training sessions every week, as much as we can have them. Next week, we've got Engineer Chiwala. And then the following week, we have Mr. Daka talking about remote farming on the 16th of March. So I shall hand over to Professor Reda to introduce himself and to start with his presentation. Thank you, Professor, for joining us.
Thank you, Ms. Linda. Good evening, everyone. And welcome to that training small presentation that I wish that it can benefit everyone in the cooperative of Avocado that play an important role in the dissemination of the avocado information and knowledge and helping Zambia to be developed very soon through the green gold. I'm Professor Dr. Reda. I'm a professor in Horticulture Research Institute in Cairo, in the Agriculture Research Center, Egypt. And I also teach in different universities all over the world, in Italy, in Brazil, and some others. I'm also give online courses related with agriculture aspects, in particular, sustainable agriculture, organic agriculture, and of course, irrigation. Our topic today is the effect of different irrigation systems on fruit tree growth and productivity. Of course, we will talk in general for the fruit trees, but specifically, we will focus also for the avocado trees. Before we start, we need to know, can you, next please, Linda? Yeah, irrigation. We need to know the definition of irrigation. You know, there is a general definition, which means that the process of providing water to the land, this is irrigation. It can be irrigation. It can be defined as irrigation, but precisely nowadays we say that irrigation, especially for any crops or avocado fruit trees, so we say providing the water to the effective root zone through different irrigation systems. So nowadays the definition, the precise definition is you are providing the water to the effective root zone of the tree or of any crop you are planting. This providing can be done through different irrigation systems. If we are talking about the avocado methods or systems for irrigations, there are 3 or 4. The surface one, and under the surface irrigation system, there is the basin and the blind basin and the straight furrow or the curved furrow or the circles. And there is a sprinkler irrigation system, which is can be overhead irrigation, a sprinkler irrigation system, or underhead sprinkler system. And also we can call this underhead sprinkler irrigation system, it can be called microjet. And drip irrigation system, it can be through single or double lines or different types of shapes that we will see through the this presentation. And of course, there is the subsurface irrigation system, which is not much advisable, and it's not too much common in the irrigation systems of the avocado in general, and the fruit trees in general. I mean, yeah. Next slide show us the comparison between the basin and the blind basin irrigation system, and both of them are under the surface irrigation system. If you look at the right draw here, you see the trees in the middle, and you deliver the water, or the water flow, the irrigation flow goes between those two lines, those two borders or boundary. So in general, you can notice here that the irrigation, the water irrigation or the water can touch the tree trunk, because there is no any boundary or borders to provide or to protect the tree trunk from the water. So in this one, which is a basin, you can see the water flow is going in between the two boundary, and in this case, of course, the water is covering all the root system area and can touch the trunk of the tree, which in this case is not advisable, because it can cause some fungal disease like the root rot diseases and others. To overcome this disadvantage of the basin, we have come out with the blind basin, and which, as it's shown in the slide to the left side, you can see that it is the same, except we have protected the tree trunk with two boundary or two lines or two ridges. So the water is going in between those two boundaries, right and left the tree trunk. So in this case, we are stopping we stop the water to touch the tree trunk. So there is no any contamination or infected with fungal disease. And the irrigation now is going in the effective root zone, because usually, what is the effective root zone? If we can talk about that. You know, the trunk, the canopy of the tree, during the middle of the day, that shadow that you can see under the tree in the middle of the day, 25 centimeters to in the direction of the trunk, this is the effective root zone. The effective root zone, the fibers that are able to absorb the water and the nutrients effectively. As much as you go in towards the tree trunk, the roots becomes like only pipes, which only work like a skeleton to take the water and the nutrients to the tree. But it's not the part that absorb the nutrients and the water. Those are the effective roots or the fibrous roots, which located 25 centimeter from the area of the shade of the tree canopy in the middle of the day. Now we go to the other slide, which shows the furrow irrigation. The furrow irrigation system also belongs to the surface irrigation system. And in this, we make like straight ridges, like you see in the photo, in that picture or that slide, and the water is going, the water flow is going in between those ridges, and it is straight ridges. Of course, this method can make us to plant intercropping between the trees, especially in the first 3 to 5 years from the tree age, which can guarantee some cash crops or some income that can be spent on the avocado trees later. And in this method also, the water do not touch the tree trunk, so we are avoiding any fungal diseases can be caused by the touching the tree trunks. But this method also, it allow the water to go faster in as it is straight, and so it reduces the quantities of water. But again, as a surface irrigation system, it is mainly consume much water than the other irrigation systems that we will explain later. There is another method for the furrow, we call the curved one. The lines or the ridges are not straight, and the water is going through that. It's the same more or less, except that one is straight, the other one is not straight. Of course, that other one, which is not straight, we use it especially for in the land which has a specific percentage of salinity, so that it can allow leaching that salinity of the soil, and to reduce the negative effect of the salts on the root system. Here you can see the circles. Of course, it is very well known, and the water is added in that circles. The overhead sprinkler, we said the sprinkler irrigation system is divided into overhead sprinklers, like what you see in the photo, and this of course is too much costly, but it can give a good modified environment around the tree canopy. Also that one can be sprinkler, like the drops, or it can be fog, so it can give this water through fog or sprinklers. But also one of the disadvantages of this one is the moisture content or the humidity that is around the tree, which can cause also some fungal diseases, especially the black mold or the studi or sooty mold. Sooty mold, which is common, many growers, I'm sure many growers can see it, especially in the rain season, on the leaves of the tree. Then we go for the underhead sprinkler, and in this photo it is not, of course, avocado, but you can see that underhead sprinkler means the sprinkler is not too high, and it can work like the diameter is about 1 meter or more. It depends on the pressure and the planting distance, of course, and depend also on the tree growth, if it is still young or big one or what. But here in that one we see in the slides, you can see that the water is also touching the trunk. However, there are many types of the microjet under the tree. There are those who can only irrigate 180 degree, not 360. So we better use that ones, which can give the other half of the side of the circle, the outer half of the circle, the water, and so the water will be away of the tree trunk. So half of this circle will be irrigated and the other half will not be touched with water at all. And this can avoid the contamination of the fungal diseases. The third irrigation system, which is the good one, actually the best one, the drip irrigation system. And as we have mentioned in the beginning, there is a single lines and a double lines, and of course that one which is the tail, and you can see there are many types that can be drawn around the tree and give or supply or deliver the water to the effective root zone. In the beginning of the tree growth, when we start planting the seedling, we may use one or single line, at least to reduce the cost in the beginning. And also here for that one, for the drip irrigation system, there are some points that we need to talk about, like the distance between the drip lines and the tree trunk. Usually we advise, if it is still seedling, if it is newly seedling, planted seedling, so it can be 25 centimeter, and then with time you take away the drip lines until it will be 50 or even up to 1 meter. But also this comes with time, and as the tree canopy is developed, so that we start to remove or move the drip lines to be under the canopy, the shadow of the canopy, 25 centimeter, like what we have explained in the beginning, for the effective root zones. That other slide here can show us the single line, and of course the wet zones that is under the tree, and that you can also use a circle and with the drip irrigation, the same, both you can combine both of them, and you can see that one also. And by the way, also we can use something you call spaghetti Italiano. You can use a drip line, and from that drip line there is an emitter that can be connected with a small diameter of irrigation. We call it a spaghetti, and this you can take it around the tree trunk. There is a double drip irrigation system, or drips, that shown in that photo on the bottom to the right hand. You can see the distance is almost around the 50 centimeter, and you can see it is where the lines is located. It is under at the end, almost at the end, 20-25 centimeter at the end of the tree canopy. This is the effect where the effective root zone is located. There is a comparison, of course, here, the advantages of this and the disadvantages of the drip irrigation system. The drip irrigation system, if we compare it with the other irrigation system, service or sprinkler, the water use efficiency for drip irrigation system is almost more than 90%, while in the sprinkler is 85%, while in whereas in the service almost about 70 to 75%. Of course, with the irrigation system, both the sprinkler and the drip is a bit costly, but sprinkler is more costly than the drip. There are some also advantages of using either drip irrigation system or a sprinkler, and in particular with drip, You can fertilize through the drip irrigation system. You can add your fertilizer through what's called fertigation. Fertigation means you are adding the fertilizer through the irrigation. So fertigation, this expression comes from both of the irrigation and the fertilization. Of course, this can be added through some tools or instruments like the venturi that can be used to inject the fertilizer through the irrigation system that you are using. Of course, the drip irrigation system reduce the weeds, and also it doesn't need too much for operation, and of course it doesn't cause the soil erosion. The disadvantage, the most disadvantage point here is the cost, both, like I said, both for the sprinkler and the drip. And in this also we can talk, if it is allowed here to talk about, because I am a consultant for a number of companies, and as I am in the market of the Zambian irrigation, so I know that there are so many companies are working in this field, and they the bad issue is there are some materials in the market which has a very low quality and with high prices or expensive prices, and this is unfortunately, because it costs the grower or the farmer to lose, it makes him to lose a lot of money, while he cannot get the effective system and the high quality. The other materials that is high quality, very high quality, but when you look at the prices, is very is too much, is really too much. I can say, for example, one roll of flat drip lines, 2,000 meter, 30 centimeter apart. It is in Zambia. In some companies, I will not mention the names, but in some companies it can reach up to 4,500 kwacha. While the same quality you can find it in another companies also in Zambia, and with almost 3,000 or minus more, or 3,001 or 3,000 minus 1. So it means that there is a variation between the companies in the cost. Of course, as much as the cost increase, this put more loads on the farmers and the investors to extend in the avocado or other type of fruits, of course, especially for the installation of the drip irrigation system. I hope that the cooperative can do something in that issue, but okay, let's work it together, and we hope that we can see some solutions. I try to list here some of the famous companies, but I will go fast for this because most of you know these companies. I put only the good quality, but also most of them are expensive. Avocado water requirements. You know that avocado as a fruit tree, it needs also a good quantity of water in order to obtain a high yield and a good quality. So if your irrigation system will not give enough quantities of water, meaning your fruits will be smaller than the others which receive the best quantity of water. And of course, if the size of the fruits will be less, meaning that the production will be less. Plus, if you are not giving the irrigation, while that second slide will, or some of the slides will show, if you are not giving that irrigation, especially during the two critical periods of the tree life, in the flowering stage and the fruit stage and the fruit set stage, those are very critical ones. So any fluctuations, any deficient of the irrigation system or of the water, of the required water during those two stages, will cause immediately the flowers to fall down, and of course this will affect on the production. The same after the fruit set. Fruit set means the stage after the flower, immediately after the pollination happened. Then this is the small fruit that is hanged. If you have water stress, if you have shortage in the water on supplying or delivering the water to your trees, this will cause also that fruit set to drop, and consequently the production will be less. This after that, two critical periods or stages. The others is to fill the fruit with the water. Of course, again, if you have shortage in this stages or stage, then the fruit size will be smaller, and consequently the production will be less. However, usually the 1,000 millimeter to 1,300 millimeter per year as the rains can be enough for the avocado tree. But please be careful that if you see the weather conditions or the environmental conditions, it is dry or hot, or there is a shortage in the rains, so it has to be compensated, or supplementary, you make supplementary irrigation through your irrigation system. Of course, another factor is the soil. The soil, if the soil is sandy soil, is different than the clay soil, is different than the loamy soil, and so on. So if your soil is sandy, for example, meaning you have to intervene with a good irrigation system that can supply the water on time for the trees. The most important is to keep the root zone, the effective root zone, moist most of the time, so you don't add excess water, and you don't make shortage in the water. It is very important to keep the soil moisture in the field capacity, we call it field capacity range, and this can be done very good and effectively if you are using the drip irrigation system. Of course, one of the disadvantages of the surface irrigation is the runoff, and also leaching the fertilizers and other nutrients that you are adding to your soil. Of course, also the weeds. The surface irrigation system makes a lot of weeds, so it needs a lot of control. When to irrigate, I have mentioned to that, especially those two periods of the flowering and the fruit set, where the irrigation is very important, and it can stop and reduce the fruit drop and increase the final fruit size, and consequently the production. There are some tools also that you can measure if your soil needs to be irrigated or what, or no. There are some equipments that one of them, the tensiometers and so on. But for me, you can plant indicators plants like individuals maize or sunflower, that can show you faster if the water is your plants needs to be irrigated or no, because you know the wilting symptoms appear very fast on those types of plants. But also you can take a sample of the soil with your hand and try to taste it and to see if it has moisture or no. Remember always that the irrigation system control the roots, and it can make it shallow or can make it deeper. So the irrigation system and the intervals of the irrigation system, this is the one that we can use it to control the root system of the distribution of the root system, either horizontally or vertically under the tree. Usually, if the irrigation is very light, meaning you are gonna to cause the root system to be superficial or nearby the surface in the first 15-20 centimeter, and this can put you under risk, especially if there is a strong wind which can affect, can take out even the trees. So be careful of those tips that you might need to force the root system to go vertically a bit so that it can fix your tree in the soil very well. There are some other techniques like the manure and the green manure. Green manure by planting cover crops or some intercropping, or you can use also the residuals, the plant residuals that you are using, you are planting in the farm to cover under the tree. This also contribute positively to keeping the soil moisture in the good level for the trees. I think that's all. To conclude, the best irrigation system through all the systems that we went through is the drip. This is the one I can advise with, and drip irrigation system is better than even the sprinkler and the surface irrigation. Last point, I just wanted to mention that, of course, the avocado tree is sensitive to the salinity, and less than 100 per part million of chloride salts can be suitable for the avocado farming. And be careful also, because most of us in Zambia, they are pumping the water from the boreholes, underground water. Some of these boreholes have more concentration of the iron, and the best is, like I was mentioning here, between the two practice here, more than 1 milligram per liter iron in the water can also create significant problems for avocado growers. That's it. I welcome any questions, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor. And I'm really grateful that you're giving us this presentation while you're on your holiday. So thank you. We've got a question. We've got a question from Namundi Namaye. She says, Professor, I thought we weren't supposed to mold instead of the basin. Kindly elaborate on that point. She says, I thought we weren't supposed to. Sorry, she seems to have a typo, but she's asking about the basin. And if you could elaborate on that in terms of mold.
Of what?
Mold. I think she's
mold.
Yes, mold.
Yeah, the mold, the basin irrigation system, as I said, this is the first irrigation system that the people were using, and you know, by nature they are using this irrigation. But the disadvantage of this one is that it makes the water to touch the tree trunk, and if it touches the tree trunk, it causes what's so called the black mold, or sorry, the root rot. The root rot. It can cause the root rot of the trees. or some other fungal diseases.
Okay. So
But that's why we have modified this basin into the blind basin.
Okay.
Which we have put two borders or two boundary or two ridges to protect the tree trunk, and the water is we deliver the water in the other on those two lines as it was shown in the figures here in slide number let me see, slide number 3, I think.
No, you mean this one?
Yes, this one. This one.
Okay.
The blind basin now, it's a modification of the basin to overcome the disadvantages of the basin. So in the blind one, meaning the tree trunk do not touch the water at all.
Okay.
While the water is delivered in the effective root zone.
I see.
I hope I have answered there.
Yes, Professor. But with what you're showing there with the blind basin, so that's different from the furrow one, right? So that's the one that shows the lines. Is it this one at the bottom?
Yes, because in this case, in the blind one, you are making only those two lines. But the other one, the furrow, you are making a furrow as number as you can based on the planting distance. If the plant, for example, if you are planting 6 by 4, so you have 6 meters in between. You can make even up to 5, 6 lines.
Okay, thank you, Professor. But in terms of the avocado tree having shallow roots, is there one particular one here which is an advantage to use? In particular, I'm asking about the one that is showing in the first photograph, the one where it goes round the tree, the drip irrigation.
The first one to the left?
Yes, yes.
Like I said, the drip irrigation system, in the drip irrigation system, there are many types that or shapes that we can use. Either single line or double line or a single line, and we take this circle around the tree, and this circle will grow also as much as the tree will grow. So if the tree canopy start to extend or expand, we have to increase also that circle down for the irrigation. So we are moving together with the effective root zone. And in some techniques also, we use the double irrigation, drip irrigation system, the double drip, and we make like a square. So, you know, can you imagine the real way?
Yes, yes, sir.
Exactly, a square like that. Under each tree, it is like a square.
Okay.
And in this square, we put drippers or emitters.
In terms of the quantity of water that the avocado needs, being such a high quantity of water, which one would you say was the best beneficial one for the avocado tree?
The best one is the drip irrigation system because it's less costly than the sprinkler, and you can control it very well, and also you can control the water quantities that you are adding to your trees, because once you are controlling the number of emitters that you installed and the discharge of each emitter. There are emitters that discharge, for example, 2 liters, 3 liters, 4 liters per hour, so that you can, according to the water requirements, you can operate your system a number of hours to deliver the needed quantity only. And this will add more advantages to save energy, so that instead of you operate your system for 3-4 hours, for example, you can operate it for 1 hour or 2 hours maximum. It depends on the discharge, the discharge of each emitters and the number of emitters.
Thank you, Professor.
Then, sorry for that. Also, there is what so-called the irrigation intervals. Irrigation intervals means what? means that we are irrigating not every day, every season, all the year, but every season, in every season. For example, in winter time, if I'm talking about Mediterranean climate, so in winter time we irrigate 1 day and 2 days off. But if in summer, which is hot, I'm still talking about Mediterranean, so you have to irrigate every day at least 1 or 2 hours. If it is in Zambia, like for example now, in the rainy season, we don't irrigate. You don't operate your system unless you operated a little time only for the maintenance of the system, only for the maintenance of the system. So you guarantee, especially if the water coming from your borehole is containing iron, more iron concentration or something like that. And so you need to operate it from time to time. And there is another notice, very important notice actually. If you have a saline soil, if your soil has a percentage of salinity and the rains come, so please, you need to operate your drip irrigation system during the rains. You don't stop. You say no. You don't say no. There is rain, so that's fine. No, because especially if your land or your soil has salts, because during the irrigation system, when you are irrigating, the water take away the salts of the root. Then you will see around the circle, white circle, around the emitters or the drips. If the rains comes, then the rains will dissolve these salts. Then these salts will attack the fibrous root, the effective root zones, which will show a symptom. So on the leaves, straightforward, you will see your leaves are burned, and especially from the edge of the top of the leaves. This is one of the symptoms. So the advice here, or the recommendation here, is to operate the drip irrigation system during the rains if your land contains salt.
Thank you. Yes, I remember you giving me that advice when I sent you my report. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
So we've got a couple of questions on the Zoom chat, the YouTube channel. I've got 2 more questions. I'll come back to Michael's questions later. So on the Zoom chat, Mr. Matthew Saley, would you like to ask your question? You've got a couple of questions in there. Would you like to unmute yourself, sir, and ask your question? You are not audible, sir.
Yeah, I was saying, how many questions do I ask? I read them out, all of them.
Yes, you're very welcome, but one at a time, so the professor can answer.
Yeah,
Thank you.
one, I'll start from the one was how can we mitigate high levels of iron concentration in the soil? The other one is the flower dropping of the avocado a cause of nutrition or mainly fungal attack?
Okay, let him answer
The other one.
questions before you get to the next.
Can I answer the first one first?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, for the first one, the iron concentrations in the water, it is not in your hand, it's not in my hand, it is that concentration is in the water coming from underground. Usually underground water in Zambia contains iron. So what we do actually, we in order to inject the water into the system, you need to pump the water first from the borehole. When you pump the water from the borehole, it is advisable to pump the water into a reservoir. And this reservoir, the shape of this reservoir is a little bit modified, not like the same shapes that you do. So the water is going like a fall. Yeah, you remember Victoria Falls? Yeah?
Yes.
So the water, if you make the reservoir, especially from the side that you are delivering the water into the reservoir, if you make it like the falls, so the water can go from top to the bottom gradually like this. This will reduce so much the concentrations of the iron. We have done a lot of experiments in these techniques. The other issue is that there are some equipments that they call they are using something called magnetic water. It's like an equipment that they put it after the filter. So when the water passes through that, it gives a magnetic charge to the water. So also this reduces the negative effect of the iron concentration and the other salts also. This is what can I say in this point for the iron.
Okay.
Of course, when you put in the reservoir, also it is advised that when you pump the water from the reservoir to your irrigation system, you don't pump the whole water. You leave at least 20-30 centimeter down, where the most of the iron is precipitated down.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all what I can advise or recommend in this question. The second question was what?
Okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead, sir.
Yes, the question was the flower dropping
Yes.
from the avocado. Is it mainly because of nutrients, or is the
This is a good question. Thank you for this question. The weakest part in any fruit tree is the flower. So any type of stress, either heat stress, water stress, nutrient stress, disease stress, any type of stress come, so the tree immediately the flowers drop the flower. Okay. The other issue is that if the tree has too many flowers, I mean the number of flowers is too much, while the nutrients and the water is less. So in this case, automatically the tree started to kill some of the flowers and drop it on the ground, because the tree cannot make all these fruits sit. Otherwise, the tree can die. Like if I say, if I give you an example, for example, the orange tree. The orange tree, you know how many the number of flowers is about 48,000 flowers. Okay, can anyone imagine that a tree, a mature tree of orange, will have 45,000 fruit? Of course, it is impossible. The tree itself is adjusted and regulated the number of fruits that it will have, as well as the weight of those fruits. So any stress, shortage, excess of nutrients or water or heat or coldness or whatever factor that can cause stress for the tree, it will automatically drop the flowers. Hopefully, this stress will not be much, so that it can keep the average number of flowers, which can give you a good production.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome. I hope that I answered that question for you.
Yes, please.
The third one?
The next two is maybe you partly covered it. What causes root rot? Is it mainly fungal? And the other one is what is the common fungal attack on avocado trees in Zambia?
Well, the most common one that you can see everywhere, what we call it sooty mold. Sooty mold, where you find the leaves the leaves is covered with a black layer. Okay.
Okay.
Do you see this symptom? Huh?
Yes.
Have you ever seen these symptoms on the leaves?
The black, yes, I do see some
Yes.
black sometimes, man.
Exactly. And you find this black sooty mold is covering all the leaves, and this of course cause deficiency in the photosynthesis, and of course again it attracted ants and the termite and others. So and of course the fruit quality will not be good. So the best, this come also from the humidity, a lot of humidity or a lot of moisture content around the tree, especially if you are using the sprinkler and those are. If the, like I said, if the water touch the tree trunk, meaning you are developing very fast the root rot. Also, there are other fungal disease that can be transmitted during or through the irrigation, the water irrigation or the irrigation water, sorry, and it can affect infect one tree to the other. So we should be careful about that issue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matthew, for your questions. Those are very good questions.
Linda, sorry, again, for the sooty mold, irrigation is one of the reasons, and we said how to control it, but also pruning. If you remember the other presentation, I don't know if you were with us, but pruning and the lights and the aeration also has to be considered as a reasons for to reduce the sooty mold.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So the next question that I have is from, let's have a look, Zonde. I don't know if you want to ask your question or if you want me to read it out. I'll give you a minute to unmute yourself if you wanted to ask it. Okay. It says, how big a tank of reservoir would be needed per hectare?
How big the tank or the reservoir?
Yes, the tank reservoir. You know, the big reservoirs that you put on land. How big do they have to be for watering per hectare?
Well, the reservoir depends on the area that he has. If he is saying about hectare, usually when we build the reservoir, we dig a reservoir or we construct a reservoir, we consider not only that 1 hectare, but we consider the extensions.
No.
So, for example, if we are using a drip irrigation system, and you are irrigating, for example, 200 hectares, yeah? So you can make it 100 meter by 100 meter, depth 3 meter, and consequently you can divide and find out the for 1 hectare.
Thank you, sir.
Because also it depends on how many times you are gonna to fill it, and it depends on the water availability in your borehole and the capacity of the water pump that you are using, and of course the energy that you are using, is it solar or electricity?
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So back to Michael, who's on YouTube. His question is, what is advisable land size to start avocado farming for a beginner?
For a beginner?
Yes, sir.
Well, anyone, and this is a good question, anyone is not a beginner if he will join the cooperative of LAMCS. of the avocado in Zambia, because that's why the cooperative is. Because if I will start with 1 hectare, for example, or 1 tree, for example, I will not be alone. I will not feel that I am lower than anyone if I have a cooperative like what we have, and then he will take care about all of us. But if you will be with 1 tree, anyone can start with 1 tree, Michael. But as much as you grow, as much as you give your chance, the access to the market, and even the access to the process that you can process your fruits, and then you can add more values to your production. I hope that I have answered.
Yes, you have, sir. Thank you so much. His other question was, can someone start large-scale farming already? I'm not too sure who he's asking this one to. He's added the word, and can someone start large-scale farming? I think he's asking to say, instead of just being a beginner, is it possible to just start as a large farmer, or do you have to start moderately?
No, it depends on the capital that you have.
True.
If you have a capital, we can start together a large scale farmers. Okay, but if you have not too much capital, then you can start a small one, and you can grow step by step. However, selecting the irrigation system, and like I have mentioned in the presentation, in Zambia, please, members of LAMCS, my brothers and sisters, be careful of the materials that is in the market. It is low quality and with high prices. So please try to find out the best ones, and it is there in Zambia.
Thank you. That's very good advice. Thank you so much. Because we bought poor quality, and we had to change quite a number of things, and they keep cracking and bursting. So, and then
one of the companies that I have listed, I will not mention the name, but one of them, it gives guarantee minimum 3 years to 5 years.
Oh no, you have to give us the name then.
It is in the list. It is in the list but I cannot mention because unless it will be advertisement. I cannot do this. I'm respecting the rules.
Okay.
But it gives a guarantee 3 to 5 years, and the price with a very high quality that you can find with some of those companies. They are selling the same specific roll with 4,500 kwacha, that company with 3,000 kwacha. So you can see 1,500 kwacha, you can save it instead of going to that very expensive companies.
Is that per hectare? When you say 3,000 kwacha, is that per hectare or per?
No, what I'm saying, I said one roll, one flat roll, 2,000 meter, 30 centimeter apart. The emitters, each distance is on every 30 centimeter. Very high quality. They sell it with 3,000 kwacha. The other company sells the same. It is in Zambia. All this panorama is in Zambia. They are selling with 4,500. Imagine how big is that margin or the difference. I don't know why, but they are doing this. I want to answer you now, because you've mentioned another point. The cost for 1 hectare for that company that is in the list also can cost 34 to 36,000 kwacha per hectare. Okay, but compared to the other companies also that are also in the list is 45,000.
Wow.
But
That's a big.
remember, Linda, remember
Yes.
that if you are using the drip for the fruit trees, avocado, for example, meaning
Yes.
the planting distance will be more, meaning that the cost of the hectare, the cost of the hectares will be less than this amounts. Of course, it will for the avocado trees or for the fruit trees of, in general, it can cost up to 28 up to 30,000.
Wow. Wow.
Yes,
Thank
per
you so
hectare.
much, sir. I've put your number up on the board. So if anybody wants to contact Professor, I'm sure he'll be happy to tell you where you're able to find a good quality one.
No
One
problem.
more-
It's put the WhatsApp until I come back.
Yes, sir. I've got one question from Mr. Alexander Mukuka, which appears to be our last question before I go to WhatsApp to check. And Mr. Mukuka is asking, is harvesting rainwater to use as drip irrigation versus extensive use of borehole water advantageous?
Come again with the same question.
So is harvesting rainwater better than using a borehole water in terms of, so he says, is harvest rainwater to use,
Yes.
say, for drip irrigation? So both for
Yes.
drip irrigation, but the
Yes.
question is there an advantage to rainwater versus borehole water?
Well, harvesting water is one of the important topics that can be done in Zambia, and it can reduce the a lot the use of the, of course, the boreholes or whatever, any shortage in the irrigation.
Mhm.
But again, harvesting water, to harvest water, you need to make 2 points. One, to construct a reservoir. Two is to find the way to redirect the water to that reservoir from everywhere, to store the water in the reservoir. Then you cannot allow this water to go into the reservoir as it is like that, because the runoff of the water take soil particles while it is going. So all of this will go into your reservoir. Then you will have a problem of clogging the drippers after that, if you are pumping the water to your irrigation system from this without, of course, the filtration and so and so. So the best advice that I can tell you in this is to purify that water before it goes to your reservoir. To do so, you contact me, I can tell you the ancient Egyptian methods that we are doing in Zambia, Egypt, even right now, to purify the water before going to the reservoir, and after that we pump the water to the irrigation system. However, it depends, my brother, on the quantity of water that you are gonna to harvest, if it will be enough to irrigate and to supply the quantity that the trees needs or no. If it won't, meaning you have to make supplementary from the boreholes again. If it will be okay, fine. But can you guarantee that the rains every season, especially with this crisis of climate change, will be enough? It's a question for you.
Okay, that sounds very good advice, but I never thought about the quality on the purifying of the water. Would you say, when you said you've got Egyptian methods, is this technology, or are we talking about things like rocks and sand and creating natural filters that you
It's
just mentioned?
it's an Egyptian methods. We're using our ancient Egyptian were using it to purify the water coming from the river Nile.
Right, but is it technology or is it natural resources?
No, it is natural resources.
Okay.
I will. It is very easy to be done, and doesn't cost energy, and doesn't have any side effect. Nothing.
I think that is going to be your next presentation to us, sir. Because I like the idea of rainwater harvesting. We have, yes, there are times we don't have enough water.
Yeah,
but there are
water
times,
harvesting is a big topic. Yeah, it's a big topic.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Mkupa, for that question. We appreciate it. If anybody has got a question on Zoom before I turn off Zoom, can you unmute yourself or raise your hand or ask the professor your questions before we close? Everybody is muted. Yes.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Could you give us your name,
Can
madam?
you-
Oh, Namundi, on both channels.
I switched.
You switched. Okay, go
I switched
ahead.
because of the network. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I just wanted to a quick one. Professor, how do you deal with termites when the trees are already planted?
I like it. We all have termites.
You know what? I'm laughing because there is a colleague who is giving a presentation on the termite. Eh?
Okay. So
Okay.
you'll bring him over then?
No, I've seen someone was doing this, but anyway, I will
Answer
send
her.
you the chemicals that can be used to get rid of any termite.
Will this have minimum residue?
For
So there are some chemicals that if we
no,
put,
it adds a minimum. Don't
No,
worry,
no.
and because you are gonna to treat
Okay.
only the spots.
All right, got it. Namundi, do you want to ask another question?
Professor.
Yes.
Yes, just on the termite. Apart from the chemicals, would you advise that we use how effective is tobacco dust to treat since we are trying to use natural
Resources, yes. Materials.
yes yes
Yes,
yes
I'm
so
getting
would you
you.
advise
I'm getting you. I'm a professor in organic, and this is what I do believe in. I
okay
encourage this also. It depends on the population of the termite that you have. If they are
okay
too much, even according to the organic laws, we accept intervention in the beginning, and after that you're supposed to be subjected to a conversion period. However, if it is not a severe termite and it is a little spots everywhere, somewhere divided or separately in your field, so that you can try the tobacco dust.
thank you, Professor.
Or any other natural material that can be used.
Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. You know what?
Yes,
I
Professor.
don't know. Let me. I will try to find the video that I have done some experiment with Coca-Cola.
Oh,
It's expensive. All that sugar.
and they were coming. Actually, I have a big experiments with the termite since I was in Brazil, and I have done many experiments. So I can later, maybe we can share the results and the simple techniques that I have used. Because for the termite or the ants or whatever they call it here in Zanzibar, siafu or whatever, or sisimezi or something like that. So the strategy that you build is to kill the queen, not the individuals. Are you getting
okay.
me?
No, I'm
Yes.
not. Oh, you are.
So
Okay.
what we do, the people of organic, what we do, we send the message with the individuals to the queen. Then
Okay.
when the queen die, the whole kingdom dies.
Oh, wow.
Oh, is this for the termites then?
whatever, termite, whatever. It's
Oh,
in
bees.
particular the termites and the ants.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. Thank you. Namundi, did you have a follow-up or does it answer all your questions?
I think I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you so much, Professor. That was
You're
really
most welcome. You're most welcome.
I think for the videos that you said you did experiments on.
Yes, I will try to find it because it's not in my hand right now.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
you know
that's
this presentation was about irrigation.
I know, right? It's okay. But Professor, you always answer all the questions.
Don't worry.
No problem. So Professor is actually on the WhatsApp chat, people. So if you do have any questions, as he says, if you send them to him, he'll answer when he returns. Is there anybody who has a irrigation question before we move on? Okay. I've checked on YouTube. I've checked on WhatsApp. There are no messages. And on Zoom, there are no messages. Professor, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you giving us this presentation as usual. It's always very educative. And we look forward to your next presentation, sir. Thank you so much. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. Bye.